It's a sticky, sweltering night on a quiet cul-de-sac in Northern California. Neighbors whisper about an unseen contagion, no, not a virus, a social experiment that would quietly upend everything we think about how ideas spread. This tiny street holds a secret about tipping points that's darker, more complex, and far more personal than Malcolm Gladwell has ever told us before. What if the things we think bring us together are actually tearing us apart? Let's start in Miami, a city dripping with sunshine, but bubbling with social contagions that hide beneath its vibrant surface. It's here Gladwell peels back the layers on how communities tip toward division or harmony. Miami's magic third is a striking statistic. When minority populations hit about one-third of a neighborhood, tension spikes dramatically. Gladwell introduces us to this phenomenon by walking the streets of Miami's Little Havana and Liberty City, where the balance shifts into visible fractures, showing how racial harmony can be a delicate chemical reaction waiting to explode. Think of social contagions like a virus, but instead of germs, ideas, fears, and behaviors spread from person to person. Just like how a few infected hosts can trigger a full epidemic, Gladwell explains that communities react similarly, where small shifts in social dynamics can unleash outsized consequences. By tracing Miami's story, Gladwell offers a surprising insight. Racial harmony isn't just about tolerance or policy, it's about managing these hidden tipping points. We realize social engineering has a dark side when these tipping points betray our intentions and encourage segregation instead of unity. From streets to wildlife, Gladwell tells a haunting tale of the cheetah's survival struggle, turning it into a metaphor about the way we raise children and how subtle changes tip generations. In Tanzania, scientists discovered a frightening spike in cheetah cub mortality caused not by predators, but by a genetic defect linked to overprotected upbringing. Gladwell visits the Serengeti, unveiling how this biological tipping point echoes human parenting styles gone wrong: too much shelter, too little danger. This leads to the core idea: parenting behaviors spread like contagions. Just as a virus travels through networks when parents excessively shield kids, this anxiety cascades, creating generations vulnerable to failure. It's parenting as social contagion where the emotional environment dictates survival odds. By studying cheetahs, Gladwell forces us to rethink risk and resilience. The surprising insight: facing just enough adversity is a vital tipping point for development. Too much shelter means tipping toward fragility, a lesson that flips our instincts on their head: dark, provocative, and profoundly human. Switch gears to the streets of Los Angeles, where Gladwell meets bank robbers and drug addicts to tell a fresh story about the opioid epidemic, a social contagion with fatal tipping points misunderstood by conventional wisdom. In LA, Gladwell uncovers a fascinating detail. The city's most successful bank robbers operated much like social superspreaders, not of disease but of criminal tactics. Their careful networks and contagion-like influence quietly rewired how crime spreads, setting up parallels to drug epidemics that follow social dynamics, not just supply and demand. He re-examines the opioid epidemic through this lens, weaving in COVID's trajectory with an alternative history where these epidemics were less about the substances themselves and more about social engineering gone awry. Contagions of despair and misinformation creating tipping points governments never saw coming. The payoff is chilling. Some tipping points don't just cause change, they exact revenge. Gladwell calls this the revenge of the tipping point, where the very mechanisms meant to stop contagion worsen it, creating cycles of crisis that spiral beyond control, an urgent call to rethink public health and social systems. Remember that quiet cul-de-sac? It's no longer just a street, it's a metaphor for the invisible forces shaping your world. Gladwell's Revenge of the Tipping Point asks you to spot the subtle shifts, understand the contagions you're part of, and act before small sparks become uncontrollable fires. Next time you see a social trend or crisis build, pause and ask, what invisible tipping point is about to tip? Try noticing the hidden contagions around you. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.